YouTube, and welcome to my channel, Kingdom Thinkers. Um, the purpose of this channel is to get you to think higher, to get you to think kingdom, because God says that His thoughts are not our thoughts and His ways are not our ways. And God has, if you look at my other two videos, I talk about the fact that God is now raising up young prophets and people who can talk and speak to the culture, but from a kingdom perspective. And that's very important in this time because we have entered a time of great deception. There's great deception that's coming out of the media, every story, the movies, the songs. The devil's spirit of deception is running rampant, but Satan is crafty. And so, and in order to get you to think like him, respond like him, operate according to his ways, which means that you're not operating according to the ways of God, he has to do it through craft and deceit. So this is the purpose of kingdom thinkers, to get you to think higher about every situation, and to get you to think kingdom. And so I want to talk about what happened in Montgomery on the boat. I'm actually from Alabama, and I go to Montgomery all the time. So when you see something that hits close to home, it's really interesting. I saw the video, and I heard about it on the news, and I didn't run to see it when I first heard about it. I waited a while because if we want to be honest, there's always brawls or fights. If you just go on YouTube and you just Google brawls, you're going to see a ton of videos like that. So immediately, my discernment says, whatever the media is putting up is because the media wants you to see it. And we should all know right now, by now, that the media is intentionally an arm of the enemy. They no longer just report on the news, or as I said, there are brawls that happen all the time. I've seen vicious brawls on YouTube where one person of the same race, in many cases, not necessarily different races, have been attacked by 5 to 10 people, and it's vicious. And you wonder, why don't they show you that on the news? Why do they pick and choose and decide what videos that they want to put up, what videos they make to go viral? We should know by now that when videos go viral, it's not unintentional. Most of the time, it's intentional because they want you to see it. And so that's the first thing I believe that God wants us to know. If we know that the media is fake news, that they're liars, that they're constantly reporting negativity already, especially those of us who are, Christians, and God told us that we should have a gift, the spirit of discernment, that we shouldn't see things with our natural eyes. Already our antennas should be going up. So I didn't run to go see the video, but I did go watch it, and it was a lot of times later. But I want to give you this perspective on it. Number one, as I said, if it went viral, it probably was intentional. If every news station is covering, all the big stations, then it probably is intentional. It's something that they want you to see. And so, we can all agree that what the group of white people on that boat did to the African American gentleman, to that man, was wrong. Completely, it was wrong. Um, it was wrong. It's just no other way around it. For adult people who were probably drinking and responding with violence, that is the spirit of the enemy working through people. And the man had every right to defend himself. But where I want to get you to think higher is what I heard from a lot of African Americans when, the black men came to his rescue. Now, naturally, if any of us are outside and we're seeing one person get attacked by many people, we should stand up. We should go over, break it up. We should intervene in some type of way because this is just who we are as humans. But I want you to go a little bit higher in what the media showed you, because this media is intent on dividing the races, especially black people against white people. There has been an onslaught of continuous media footage in order to make young black men or black people in general believe that white people hate you and they're racist. And no other story or no other place than to pull footage from than Montgomery, Alabama, because we know Alabama, quote unquote, is a racist state. And I'm saying that sarcastically because I was born and raised in Alabama, and it's not like that. Black and white people get along. Are there racist things that take place? Yes, no different than all over the place. But do have I ever grown up there or felt like that I was being hindered in my life, or I was shut out, or could walk down the street or afraid somebody's gonna call me the N word in 2023? No. But that is what the media would like for you to believe. So when the thing that I want to talk to you about is the craftiness of the enemy, because the enemy wants to continue to solidify and cement the division between the races. So what looked like a rescue of the black men coming over after the fight was already over, that those men could have came over and ran to the black man and comforted him. They could have sat with him and crowded around him and made sure nobody else touched him. They could have grabbed their cell phones and called 911 and sat with him and waited for the police. Mind you, these were grown men. These were not teenagers. These were grown men that I'm assuming probably are married and have wives and children and jobs. I want to get you to think higher in what God would do and how God wants us to respond. If they would have come over and guarded this man and stood their ground and protected him, and they could have even verbally rebuked those men and said, "We're calling the police and we're gonna wait right here," I don't believe that this would have really went viral the way it did. There's a chance it could have done so, but the media wants to continue to solidify in your mind that black people are violent. God wants us to think higher. If I heard just some of the rumblings that people might have felt like these men were doing God's work or vindicating this man. God says, "I repay. Vengeance is mine, and do not return evil for evil." God does not change his ways. So the way in which these men responded was not a God response. It was a flesh response. And the media would like nothing else but to put a video to show white people in the wrong attacking a black man and black men coming to their rescue, but also to solidify in your mind, especially in our black men, our young black men's mind, that this is the way that you should respond through violence. And I'm here to tell you that that's a lie. We're not a violent people. We do have the ability to think higher and solve problems without violence. If they would have called the police, surrounded around this man, and waited and guarded him, then they would have been heroes, not only in the people's eyes, but also in God's eyes. So I just want you to think about that. Think about that perspective. Everything that the media does is intentional. It is to get you to think a certain way. It is to get you to put down what's righteous and respond in your flesh, because the media is an arm of the enemy, and I'm just going to say it right like it is. They're the voice of the enemy, and they want you to respond out of your flesh, but God wants you to respond out of your spirit. That's the way you go higher. That's the way the young people, the young children will look at that video and say, "Wow," because we know a lot of children are watching that video, a lot of young kids, black and white. And it don't matter what the race is. When a young child watch the video, they know right from wrong. But when I see violence and I see the response is violence, then, and I'm a child, no matter if I'm black, white, Asian, or whatever, you just confused me. And so I'm not going to just ramble long on this video, but I just want you to think about that. And I want you to consider how the people in this world want you to think and how God tells us we should think. God says that my ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts. And God is not saying that to put us down and he's up here, which God is up here. He is God. But one thing about our God, he says that you are joint heirs. He said as about Jesus, he said, as I am right now as the resurrected king, so are you in this world. So God is saying my ways are higher, and I want you to come up to my ways in your responses. And that's how you're going to mature as a person, and that's how you're going to be a demonstration to the world that you are one of mine and that you've come out from the world. So I hope that blesses somebody, and I hope it gets you to just think a little bit higher. And I hope and pray that you open your eyes and that God will be able to start to give you those eyes, not these eyes or not these ears, but to that God will show you that you're not just a body, you're a spirit. And your spirit has a pair of eyes and ears, and God wants to fill you with his spirit so he can then begin to get you to see out of those eyes and hear with those ears. God bless you. And remember, think kingdom and go higher.